All right, so I think to start off, well, first of all, I scraped down this painting. There was a lot of really thick paint on it, but now it's nice and smooth, which is great. I like to do that, especially on these boards, because the paint can get build up so fast because there isn't a lot of like absorbency into the canvas, so or into the board. So I end up caking on paint, and sometimes it gets in the way. So try to scrape it off in between layers. But I didn't want to like scrape it down to the board, so I just kind of scraped off some areas, and it still reads the same as uh, it did after I finished the second layer. But now I'm just gonna put some more different colors. Right now I really been digging this color palette. I used it for the mountain painting I did a couple nights ago, but it's blue, green, red, orange, violet, and yellow with some white. So let's see how that goes. I think I'm gonna start, in this upper background area because I really think it could be like pushed back and more blue. Get a little bit more atmosphere back there. And this is it's a very limited palette, so it takes a little time to get used to, it. But a little bit of this kind of blue back here. Mix some of the blue green with the cad red light. Get some of those shadow areas in there. Not entirely sure where I'm going to be going with this just yet, so kind of just going to be messing around. And I have quite a bright, let me see if I can mix a little bit of, I have a really like bright spot right here. Did a little bit of retouching to the photo. And, it's kind of just like bouncing light everywhere. So I'll get that kind of like glow effect here of just like water mist. This yellow is going to be really nice to get a little bit of that glow off of the more blue-green background there. Few speckles of light in some areas is nice. And I'll make the whites a little cooler as they come down. All these like cool like green blue shadows in water. See them a little bit in clouds too. A little bit of purple in there too. This is an outdoor shot, so you know, like you get the like warm highlights and those cool shadows. And that's due to like the overall skylight. Because if you think about it, if there's a cloud in the sky and it's just a cloudy day, it still has like an overall like light to it. It's just like a shadow light, and then when the sun comes in, it lights up that, and then but the shadow light is still there, which is cooler. So it's like the skylight, you know. So you end up having like a cooler skylight and then a warmer sun. Yeah, look at that little bit of like glow action there. That's pretty sick. Just scumbling over some white in the darker areas gives it that nice like misty glow. A little bit of this yellow color I have here, which kind of looks a little bit green as you lay it over. Kind of looks like the nice green spots of the trees. A little bit of speckle light here. I love when you got that base down and then you're just kind of like speckling over these, or like scumbling over some of these lighter highlights that you thought you put in the first layer, but you realize that like it's way darker than you think, the paint that you put down. So, and that's, you know, due to like it just getting mixed with everything that's wet down there. So once it dries, it kind of, you know, you can kind of get those like glow effects. Looks very good. Thank you. Yeah, I think this one was in like a pretty good place, but I just wasn't really that happy with it, and I think it can go a little bit further, especially with the lights and the darks, and more of like a concentration of light somewhere. Interesting thing about this is that, you know, I'm working with this like limited palette, so it's just going to be like trying to find those dark colors that work. I don't really have like a nice transparent yellow in this palette, so it's going to be interesting. to see how that ends up working. I also lightened up the photograph quite a bit that I'm painting from, so I'm thinking that'll help a lot. I'm gonna mix up a dark color, so I'm gonna use a different brush. I'll take the blue green, mix it with the red, and then get some of that violet in there too. It almost mixes like a black color, but I'm a little more on the warm side. So just looking to see where some of the darker areas are. And pushing those a little bit more. I think I have a lot of dark down already, so a bit here. And then there's a lot of warmer tones in the dark areas down here. Probably due to the light hitting the rock and bouncing back into it. Man, I love this palette. All the colors like work so well together. You kind of like that nice color harmony. Especially going back and forth between the red or the red orange and the blue green. And that blue green is like nice and cool. So you get some nice shadows with the violet. Just trying to get this rock color. Really, I'm just trying to get a little bit more variation of color in this pass. Just had a lot of like dark shadows. That were just like really just dark and not really full of life. I got some nice purple down here now in this shadow. Carry that over to the other side a little bit too. This really intense violet color is great for these like dark, really dark shadows here. Bring some of it up here too. Trying to vary the color a lot because it's nature, so lots of different color, lots of different texture and shapes. Don't want to keep things like static for too long. Now I'm gonna grab some of this yellow, a little bit of that green, blue-green color, and kind of just scumble some tree leaves around here. It's kind of the only thing that's outlining this dark tree branch here, or the trunk of the tree, rather, is this like bright um, brightness of the leaves here. Trying to mix up this like misty color here. I gotta look at this in the mirror. Yeah, there's some things that I like about it and some things that are like falling apart, but that's to be expected. Mess it up a little bit and bring it back. But I think the little bit of atmosphere is happening, which is nice. Little bits of red in there for no reason whatsoever, other than they look cool off like all these other colors. Get some of these cooler blues in here. That are like the light side of the dark. You can tell I'm not really that familiar with this like subject matter. Usually I'm like talking about like what I'm doing. With this one, I'm just like not really sure what I'm doing. But I know if I keep just doing it, then it'll get somewhere. Because right now I'm fighting the colors underneath. Because I didn't start out with this color palette that I'm doing right now. You know, I started out with like a wider range of colors, just like all over the place. So now that I'm have decided which color palette I'm using, um, it's competing with the colors underneath. So not jiving yet till I get it all like covered up, all the old stuff. This violet color is like really coming in handy for my really dark black colors. Some of my favorite things to do is to mix the blacks like on the canvas or the board. Just like put down a dark purple and then put a dark green on top of it, and then they kind of cancel each other out and make a nice rich black. With but then inevitably you just like leave some color tones in there, so when you get up close to the painting, you see all those nice colors in the black areas and stuff. And we got a little couple few. Let me see. Find my light brush. We got a few spots down here that are nice and warm, that are getting hit by some light. Having that nice blue green tone down, laying like the warmer colors on top of it. It's real nice. Trying to get like the rushing of the water, which is it's a hard thing to paint. this is going to be just like the water or the mountain painting where it's like I don't know what's going on until the end, and then it all comes together. What would have been really fun is to have my paints when I was at this waterfall, but I didn't like think about it. I'm just like always so excited when I go to this waterfall that, I'm not thinking about my painting at all. I'm just like, get me to the waterfall. Because, there's like no waterfalls around here. So when I go traveling, I like to see the mountains and the waterfall. Get this little tree up here. adding a nice red down for the tree trunk. And then I'm going to put the green on top of it. That sort of like complement with that, but then have that red underneath. Just do that with the other one too. Just like brings them alive a little bit more. So they're not just like these, dark sticks. I'm just trying to look around and see what I can darken and a little bit orangier in some areas, which plays well off the purple areas and the green. This is like a dark area right here because waterfall is like hitting here and folding over. Just like a softer area here. Now I'm going to get back up and take a look at it in the mirror a little bit. I want to make sure it's reading still. Yeah. Yep. Looks very fantasy like. It's reading from far away pretty well. I didn't like it too much in the mirror, which is typically not a great sign, but you know, I would have rather taken the risk, even if this painting turns out shit, because when I was looking at this painting's been sitting around my apartment for, I think I started it like a month ago or something. But, when sitting around and it ends up drying and it's quite dark and it doesn't really have that same feel to it anymore. Like the newness of it wears off a little bit. Um, yeah, then and then it doesn't give you that same feeling anymore. Basically, you just like no, it's not done yet. I'm just like I just knew there's something that needed to be done then, and it's okay if I don't get it there. I don't mind. I would have rather tried and failed than just have it sit around my apartment and be like, man, that's not working. Oh, I'm gonna get some see if I can't get some glare down there. That's kind of what I'm missing is like some a little bit more shininess down here. Wanted that to feel a little bit more like water. feel like this is the perfect color palette for this landscape. So I'm going with a little bit more white and blue-green and violet. And in case anybody's wondering, the violet that I have is ultramarine and alizarin crimson mixed together. And then I have a blue-green, which is yellow ochre and ultramarine blue mixed together. And then I'm just using cad red light. And then I'm using a yellow that I mixed together with flake white hue and cadmium yellow. So those are the colors that I'm using for this painting. Oh, I want to mix this like, when you get water that has like that blue green shade to it. See if I can mix that color. Kind of already have it in there a little bit, but yep. Yeah, cool. Adding that little bit of some of those warmer tones over here and a little bit of this more um, lighter tones in the water. Yeah, you'd think that this reflection or whatever this is would be a little bit lighter because it's reflecting the white waterfall, but there is some of that, but it's getting broken up so much that I don't think it's hitting. It's not like a mirror, you know. The highlight's getting broken up quite a bit. But I'll put some of the reflection of the waterfall in there anyway. Nice little bit of a hit of like warmer tone there. Going a little bit thicker. I want to go all like really like thick up here though. I want that to be like the thickest area. It's like the, you know, water falling, because it's a waterfall and all. Hitting there and dropping off. It's really nice when you have these, you know, all these tones underneath. You can really build it up. This is quite challenging. One of the more challenging paintings I've ever attempted. It's tough to get the feel of like nature without being there, you know? Just like working from a photograph or whatever. Trying to put these little bits of red around wherever I can. Kind of plays off the all the green in the trees and stuff, you know. I was trying to go like lighter in value up here, but I think I'm gonna push it back. Yeah, that's much better. Yep. Trying to mix this specific green color. Thing I like about working with limited color palettes is, and colors that go together on the color wheel, I suppose I should say, is because I don't know, they just work together. Like, I mean, I think that if I wasn't using, the color palette, this four color palette from the color wheel, I wouldn't have such an easy time taking this purple violet and just making black like anywhere I want. It's because of all the other colors that I'm using that I'm putting down that are like contrasting with the purple. So it gives you like a really nice intense um, rich black, like without even trying. trying to push back this area to get the rock, get that glow on the rock. Cool, I think it's, you know, getting there. Something's happening. Just takes a minute, you know? I'm always like in a rush for some reason. You know, like, why isn't this happening? Why does this still look like shit? But now I'm getting some nice brushstrokes. This is so nice when you scrape down the painting before you start, because then you can, get all your nice brushstrokes back. Like, and you don't have to worry about all the brushstrokes you made before. You can just make new ones. I used to just like paint over all the brushstrokes before, and they just got so messy and difficult to paint, and then you can't like get the colors that you want and stuff because there's so much texture. And in some areas that works out really well, light areas and places you want the focus to be. Put some green up here. Get a little bit of white up there too. White purpley color right over here. A little bit of the underside of this bush here. A little bit more shadow up here than I got. All right, let's take a look back at it far away again. I think it's a little bit more successful in the mirror at least. Yeah. Sweet. Let's break up. This edge is driving me a little bit bonkers, so let's break that up a little bit with some leaves or such. A little bit of more leaves coming over the edge or something. And, you know, cut back in some areas with my green color. Just trying to break that up a bit. And then I'm going to go pretty hard over here, I think. It's going to be a tough color to mix with this limited palette, but we'll make do. Because, you know, when I went a little bit further back, these maybe it doesn't need that shape. No, I think this kind of shape ties it in a little bit more. Got this fall here, this up here, this shape going up here, which I'm missing a little bit of the action on that curve, that gesture. That movement is important, you know. And I had it like stopping right here, where it needed to like continue. It's good to like, you know, squint your eyes a bit and look at the photograph and see why you are interested in it in the first place. And for me, it was that, you know, it's like this line, this swoosh goes into this swoosh, and then you got these little guys coming off, and then a little bit more of this, I think, be good. So we want this angle. That was something else that interested me a little bit. And then this goes out here, which we could lighten up this area slightly. You know, it's like, what do you want to keep about the photograph, and what can be taken out or enhanced? Get a little bit of a reflection on the water there, a little bit more there. And you know, this is like a nice like S curve here that I'm kind of missing. So like I'm good at like finding the gestures like that in like people, but when it comes to landscapes, for some reason I just like forget about it. but they're equally as important. All those gestures. And then, like this angle here is important. So anyway, back to the, got a little sidetracked. Back to the glow on these rocks. Got a little like stick or something back here. It's not that important, but it's nice to add some details in there sometimes. A few other sorts of like sticks and things. Just taking like different colors, kind of just like putting these thin lines down. To mimic some like stick texture or rocks or something. Rocks are hard to paint. I feel like I used a palette knife last time. See if we can mix the shadow color of the rock, a little bit of violet and blue-green. Yeah, that's a way sicker rock. Just gotta get some highlight on it now. And some of this edge right there. That's important. This is the most fun stage when just putting all those little details in there. Trying to mix up like a pinky tone for the highlight on the rock. But it's pretty warm because, you know, the sun and all. Let's try this out. A little bit more yellow, I think. But it's not a bad color. I think with nature, at least what I find is that, you know, mixing it up a lot. A lot of different tones, different colors, different shades. Going with a really, really bright blue color for down here. Cool, we might be getting close to the end on this one. I don't know if it's the end forever or if it's gonna need to be, or if it's done, but we'll see. Yeah, that looks pretty nice from far away. Looks pretty epic. Some area that I want to change though. This gets really dark, unnecessarily dark there. Got my paper towel on deck. Okay, this right here. It's like a, combination of yellow, green, and red. Might have just mixed the perfect color here. Let's see. Oh, more green. I don't want it to be so purple. So maybe more red. Still looks purple, more yellow. I want it to be more on the orange side. So it's a shadow in the water, but I mean, shadow in the water is not really like a shadow, you know? It's got a lot of transparent shit going on. That's a tough color there. Just have to get somewhere in the ballpark of it, I think. Because I don't have a transparent enough of a yellow to get that. It's like too brush strokey there. It's more like gradients, moving into gradients rather than a bunch of like brush strokes. Yeah, that looks much better. Getting like the reflection of the waterfall there. Yeah, like waterfall, then getting the reflection. Get a little bit of the reflection. Just very subtle. Don't want to go crazy with it. Don't want it to be like too repetitive either. Just kind of looking that way a little bit. Just break it up a little bit. Some nice purpler, whiter reflections over here. A little bit of brighter reflection here. Maybe a little bit more yellow. Just trying to hit some of those little spots on the water that get some nice glare. Probably should be using a little bit of a bigger brush for this, but here we are. And we're just gonna break it up a little bit. Looking a little choppy at the moment. A little bit like, oh, I'm gonna put a highlight, dot, 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 you know. I'm going to grab a bigger brush. This water's just looking like real fucking choppy. Just don't have a big enough brush, I think. I'm just going to come in here and kind of simplify it a little bit with a larger brush. Gets pretty dark at the edge here and here. just trying to rework this like waterfall here on the bottom. Got a little like bright on me. So I'm pushing it back and then bringing out some of the more the areas. Pushing it back with like a purple blue, and then now I'm bringing it back out with some the blue, green, and white mixed together. I don't know why this bottom part of the waterfall is giving me so much trouble. I'm just like, be good already. Darken up this rock a little bit here. Yeah, it's getting there. The phone camera like brightens things up a lot. So like if I'm like, wow, that looks too bright in the phone camera, usually it's like the right amount of it's like the right value then. And usually if I'm like, wow, that looks really good in the when I look at it in the phone, and then I'm like ends up being like way too dark later. So stepping back a little bit, trying to look at it from a distance, catch it in the mirror, looking good. This little line right here is like really jumping out at me. I mean, I either have to lighten up the dark value or um, darken down the lighter values around it. Or maybe both, and that way it'll flatten itself out. And I think it's just because it's a really, really sharp edge. So I'm going to kind of, you know, mess up some of the edges here. And then mix up some darker purple. Put that next to it a little bit. Now let me look at it. Sweet. That helped. Yeah, it's always like tough to know what to do and when is it finished, especially a landscape. Like kind of like know when portraits feel right and done, but the landscape is like, like when is it done? Definitely don't want to like overwork it. I mean, but with oil painting, you can like paint over it like many times as you want, I suppose. So never like worried too much about fucking things up. Just fix it on the next layer. Nice. What the fuck is that? That is not supposed to be there, I don't think. Well, it's not supposed to be that color, that's for sure. Didn't really notice that before. I mean, it looks like everything is flowing off of that rock, so yeah, it just needed to be not that red color or whatever. This is a little bit more splashy here. I always have this problem where I think I'm done and then I paint something else. And then that makes something else need to be painted. Yeah, this is starting to feel more like what it felt like to be there. It's probably impossible to like get it exact, how I really felt while I was there, but this comes pretty close. Cool. A little bit softer edges up here. This got a little bit of a hard edge there. Want it to look like it's flowing. Yeah, that's better. And then I kind of want to get a little bit more of like the fact that these are going this way and they're catching that edge and then they're dropping straight down. Right now it kind of looks like they're flowing down when they're catching this edge and they're kind of just dropping. So I want to get that nice turn right there. All these things like seem unimportant, and maybe they are, but they are stuff that's like bothering me. There we go. Getting sort of like more like what it's supposed to look like there. Awesome. Yep. My eye's kind of catching this little corner here too, so I'm gonna lighten up this shadow a bit. Also helps if I soften the edge of the rock. All right, let me get one more good look at it. Yeah, I think it's like it's really singing now. Maybe I want to put a little bit of I don't know, something later, but I think I'm done with it for tonight. I'll be curious when I look at the video later, uh, the before and after, because I did like this one before, but there was just something about everything was just so dead. It was all just like dark light, dark light, dark light. There wasn't any like vibrancy of color or nothing, which I have achieved now, which is good. So I think this area down here is a little bit uh, messy, but I think I can fix some of that on the next pass when I can scumble over uh, some dry paint on top of that the the dry some drier paint on top of the dry paint once it dries. And I may just like change my mind and I may like it after it dries, but we'll see. But I think that the colors are a little bit more successful now than they were when I started. So that was my goal for tonight. Working with this limited palette um, is like really awesome. And you can get some really nice natural colors with it, even though it's only 4 colors. So yeah, and it keeps it like a little bit more harmonious when you work with such a limited palette. You're not like trying to fight all the so many colors. And I forget that sometimes. But sometimes when you're painting with a full spectrum, your I don't know, your brush is like really muddy, or you get like a lot of the colors get mixed together, so it has like a harmony in itself, and you don't really need it. But sometimes, if I'm struggling with a painting and I'm not finding the harmony in it, and the colors just aren't working, then I'll just pick out what the dominant color is of the painting, and I'll look at the color wheel and try to pick a nice color combination or color scheme that goes with the dominant color of the painting. So that's kind of what I did here as well as with the mountain painting that I painted a couple nights ago. So they'll have a nice little theme with them because they're using like a similar palette. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna call this one done for tonight, and I'll see you guys later. Third layer on this waterfall painting using a limited palette of yellow, violet, red, orange, and blue green. Period. Hashtag painting, hashtag landscape painting, hashtag Asheville, hashtag North Carolina, hashtag waterfall.